Okay, so I got another video. This video is pertaining to my audio-video system setup down in my basement. And this has been a project I've kind of been working on off and on for quite some time. This is kind of a collaboration of many efforts that I've put into this. Probably, I don't know, going back to 2013 or so, with the use of switches and projectors and so on and so forth. But I'll be honest with you, when I got my first original Xbox, I could not stand not being able to keep my N64 hooked up, or my GameCube. So I'd go out and I'd buy these, these switches, like so, right? So, anyways, that's kind of evolved year after year after year, and I've gotten pretty aggressive with making sure everything's connected, everything works, and I finally kind of pieced all of this together. I've got a couple new projectors that I'm very pleased with, and unfortunately they're not 4K, but that's okay. That's all right. And I finally picked up a 16-port HDMI switch, which I suspect is uncommon. And that's the main component that makes all of this work. I just got this 16-port KVM switch here recently, and I started figuring out how I was going to do all this, and it was a lot of work. But everything basically connects to it. All of these systems connect to it, and it has one output. So it kind of operates like one of these guys. These old, some people call them video switchers, channel selectors, whatever. And you hit a button, and it switches to that input to the output. So you got multiple inputs and one output. And that's a 16-port HDMI switch. And I'm not sure exactly how much it cost. Close to $400, which I thought was a deal because it looked like you can spend a couple of thousand on them. I was a little nervous about it, whether it was going to work or not. This is the second one I purchased. The first one that was sent to me was a DOA. I went with a different company, different seller, a different brand, and this has been great. It comes with 8 HDMI cables, and the HDMI cables that it come with also have USB. In this application, I don't really need USB, but I am using it, and I will probably implement that. Essentially, what a KVM switch stands for keyboard video mouse. And so essentially what you would do is you would take anywhere from 1 to 16 computers and line them up, whether they're rack mount servers or on tables, desks, whatever, and you'd run these cables, USB and HDMI for video. USB would be for mouse and keyboard control, and you run it to the back of this switch, and then you run this switch to your mouse and your keyboard and your monitor. In my case, that would be a projector. Okay, so that's how this works. You choose which input you want to go to. Like, let's just say I want to go to this Nintendo Wii. Then I would go to input 1. The one drawback that I have seen is that there is a bit of a delay on it switching over. About 1.5 seconds. That's okay. 2 seconds maybe. But there's no delay. Let me clarify. There's no delay for there's no input lag. There's none. this solution would not be in place if there was any kind of input lag. Being that this is mostly for video games, input lag would not work for me. So that was one of my issues, one of my concerns while picking one out. I wanted no input lag. I also wanted to be sure that it passes audio over HDMI, and it does with no problems. I've not went up to anything better than Dolby Digital. No, there was DTS, and I have been using 5.1. I do have a 7.2 receiver over here in that stack, but I'm not using that. I actually got that for this project. I'll get more into that for a second. I prefer to use my old system. Why? Because it's there. It's already there. Wires already ran. I'm digging it. I'm not adding more speakers. I like how it sounds. I like how it looks. Wires are mostly tucked away out of sight. So yeah, those were my concerns. I had another issue that I did not anticipate, and that's HDCP. I will tell you that I still don't have my head quite 100% wrapped around what HDC or how HDCP functions. I know what it is. It's basically it's DRM for HDMI. Most PC gamers know what DRM is, and it's nasty, and it gets in the way, and it stands for Digital Rights Management. And basically with HDMI, in order for you to, let's say you've got this laptop here and you HDMI out to one of these HDMI recording devices. I don't know what the gamers are using. I've heard of them. I can't remember what they're called. Something Elgato or Delgado or something. Anyways, you could hit record. You can go to like Netflix, Hulu, any of these streaming services, and send that video to this recording device and hit record, and basically create a copy of that show, upload it, and share it with the world via torrents or whatever. And they're trying to cut back on these sort of things. Same with Blu-rays. If you got a Blu-ray player, they don't want you to be able to record the Blu-ray player's outputs. So I don't remember what HDCP stands for. It's something like high bandwidth control protection or control protocols. I don't remember. Anyways, there's a handshaking between the two devices, the source and the receiver. There's some sort of a handshaking that goes on, and if the handshake doesn't take place or something malfunctions, you're limited on what you can do. And in the case of the PS3 is the worst. And that's where I found my solution. The PS3 was the worst. The PS4 had some issues, and the PC had some issues, but the PS3 was the worst culprit. And basically, in the PS4, you can disable HDCP for games and such. For the entire console, but then certain apps that required it wouldn't run until you turn HDCP back on. And I want to say that come with the system update. The PS4 originally had HDCP on at all times, I think. So anyways, that's where I got my solution from. I was trying to see how were people able to get to where they can do Let's Plays or whatever, how were people able to stream the PS3 or record the PS3 content since there was no way to turn it off. That was my vector. That's the approach that I took, and I found solutions. People talked about HDMI splitters, and it doesn't make sense to me. Apparently these HDMI splitters ignore or somehow sidestep and get around the HDCP issues. Without the HDCP issues, or without the workarounds, I would have intermittent issues with random pieces of equipment. The PS3 wouldn't work at all, for example. The Wii U, the original Wii, it's converted to HDMI via Wii to HDMI adapter. For whatever reason, that guy does not like to give me the correct colors. It kind of makes everything pink. But I've gotten that solved. It's all 100% solved. Occasionally, the laptop would malfunction, and I would have to unplug the HDMI cable, plug it back in. But I've got it all worked out now. So essentially, what I've done is we have the Wii U, the Switch, the laptop, the PS3, the PS4, 4 Xboxes, and I'm talking the original Xboxes. And then why 4? Well, it's because they're modified and they're old, and I've had them forever. I used to modify these things, and I think that one's got a 320 gigabyte hard drive, which was huge back then, like 15 years ago. This one's got a 400, which was ridiculous, even more ridiculous back then, at 250 and 250, and they were filled with games. I would rent games and I would copy them. Yes, I know I shouldn't have, but I did. And I kept them, and here they are. And so anyways, and I've also got the HDMI adapter for the Xbox. I just happen to have a box laying right here. This goes into the back of the Xbox. You get HDMI out and HDMI in audio, and it works great. Below the original Xboxes, you got a 360 and an Xbox One. They're all HDMI out, heading up this bulk of cable. I was doing really good with cable management, and about halfway through, I was getting frustrated, and I was looking forward to just getting it done, getting it up and going. I'll come back later and make it look nice later. But you can see the biggest branch of cables right here are my HDMI cables. I think I see one Ethernet cable that's snuck in, but those are all HDMI going up to the switch back here. It's kind of nice having this on this pod and kind of show you what's all going back there. Now, the HDMI switch, the KVM switch, has one output. The one output doesn't go straight to the projector. I've got it going to 2 more devices before it goes to the projector. The first device it goes to is my HDMI splitter. That splitter seems to get around the HDCP, and I don't know how. I'm not sure if it latches on to the first device you connect to it until it's powered down. I don't know how it works, and I didn't spend a whole lot of time. It just worked for me, thank goodness, and I was done. I moved on. But anyway, so we go to the HDMI splitter. I could tell you more about that splitter. I think I have the box for it. But anyways, the splitter has 1 input, 2 outputs, and you can connect 2 HDMI cables out and go to 2 different TVs. I tested it. It worked, but that was not my application here. I only have 1 cable going in and 1 cable going out. And the reason for that was that's all I needed. I just needed for it to do whatever it does inadvertently to the HDCP mechanisms. Okay? So now we've went from the KVM switch to the HDMI splitter, and then to the next device is something called a Toslink audio extractor. And what you do is, again, it's a little box, and it has HDMI in, HDMI coming out, but it also has an output port for Toslink, fiber optic audio. And then I take that fiber optic cable and then I run it down to my receiver down here. Now the HDMI cable is ready to pass on over to the projector via HDMI with its audio being removed. I guess technically I don't know if it's removed. I've never tried to turn the volume up on the projector. I'm not sure what it would do because I've got everything set to do the best audio they can, and I just turn the volume down on the projector altogether. So anyways, I guess if I was to give you a brief demonstration how this works, it's kind of handy because it automatically switches. Now, the things that are on have dimmed, so they don't look so good right now. I also have lights on down here in my basement so that we can see what I'm trying to show you. So, you know, there's the Wii U. If I was to hit the power button on the Switch, and by Switch I mean Nintendo Switch, I think I could just grab the controller and the KVM switch automatically detects that and turns the switch on. So there we are. Breath of the Wild, excellent game. Alright, and if I wanted to go to the laptop, it's already on. So I have to come up here, find which input is it. I plan on like numbering these with labels. 1, 2, 3. So we go to 3. And there's the laptop. I just quickly threw this laptop together just so I had something down here. I already had a computer down here, but it was malfunctioning with HDCP, almost as bad as the PS3, so it went away. That was before I came up with the solution of the HDMI splitter. Keep in mind, like I said, I'm not using the HDMI splitter as a splitter. I'm just using it to bypass HDCP. And then, you know, for the laptop, I have this nice little keyboard. This is great. I want to come down, read the news, check your email, watch YouTube, whatever. I might use this computer to tap into a media server that I'm going to be setting up somewhere else in the house. I haven't decided if I'm going to use a console for that or if I'm going to use this computer. This computer is kind of weak. You know, I've got some nice ASUS laptops and motherboard desktops, but this is not one of them. This is kind of a piece of junk. But it's getting me by for now. It's a nice little placeholder for now. So anyways, we want to go to the PS3. It's already on. So we'll hit 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I'm back. I had rerouted a cable incorrectly back there on the PS3. It was making me extremely nervous, and I forgot that I redid some things back there with cable management, and I didn't quite get the PS3 cable plugged in all the way. So, PS3 is looking good. And that picture actually looks really good. It's just, I got a light on right here. And that's, I've got more lights on in here actually. I need to probably get all of the lights out for it to look awesome. So, anyways, yeah, that's the PS3. The PS4, we tap the power button, and again the KVM will switch automatically. I don't know if you could see that. I'm getting blinded by the light right above the camera. Okay, so it looks like the PS4 is having some sort of an issue. That's got nothing to do with the AV system. Again, through fooling around back there, I tried to make this so that I could just grab the corner of this and just drag it if I need to get back there to like work on something. But because I was getting careless with cable management, sometimes moving it in and out, things get unplugged. So, especially power. Power is the biggest issue back there right now. I've got... it's a little bit of a mess back there. So, anyways, the PS4 is still doing its song and dance. Had to do some sort of a check disk, scan the file system, whatever. So the next system I guess we can look at is the original Xbox. So I kind of liked the original Xbox boot screen, boot animation, with the X kind of tearing or exploding, whatever it does, with that cool noise. But the delay in the switching over misses it, so I don't get to see it. So, and again, these are all modified, so they got custom dashboards and stuff like that. This is old stuff, man. I used to really get into this stuff. I guess it would have been 2003, 4, 5, somewhere around there. Maybe 2002, 3, and 4, and 5, and then the 360 came out. But anyway, so I don't need to jump through all the consoles. I'm sorry, all the Xboxes. But I mean, I can show you as quickly as I can turn them on. It starts switching. And I don't think you could turn the original Xbox on remotely. I mean, not that I'm aware of. I'm sure somebody come up with some sort of a modification. You know, here's the original Xbox 360. I kind of like its boot animation too, and it sounds cool. The sound system I've got down here sounds really good. I do not turn it up very often, but it is very capable of all kinds of loudness. What else? I do plan on having some of these things Gigabit Ethernet. I got a 24-port Gigabit switch, or is that 16? Yeah, that's only 16. 16-port Gigabit switch up here. You know, and I guess I could show you what those other devices look like that I was talking about. Regarding the HDMI Splitter and the Toslink audio extractor, I can't see them from here. I'm assuming the camera's showing you that stuff. All right, so the other side of this is well, a lot of my systems are hacked. I guess I didn't really get into that. That's not really part of the video here. I do have a lot of store-bought games. I also have a lot of hacked games and copies, so I can stick the games away and not touch them, like that copy Halo 4. You know, if you look, you can see the Halo 4 disc up here. I'm pretty sure that's a burnt disc. The optical disk drive won't open. You know, that's the thing. That's the thing about having so much hooked up and ready to go all at once, is that I'm constantly finding things that are broken. Things that worked last month don't work today. Well, I won't waste any more of anyone's time on that. That's a known issue. You got to replace the drive belt. They get old. That Xbox probably is 14 years old, if I had to guess. So, all right. The other part of this is the composite side of my AV system. So this is all my old systems. I guess I didn't talk about the Wii. The Wii is, let's see here. I think it's 12. To go to number 12 on this KVM switch is you have to hit the +1. It really should say +10. So we got 10 plus 2 is 12. Oh, I didn't do it right. There we are. And there's our Wii over HDMI. Because I'm using a Wii to HDMI adapter. Oh, that's awesome. Alright, so the other part of this that I can share is that I can switch the projector over to video, and technically I would say HDMI's video, but whatever. I know what they mean. They mean composite cables, not component, but composite, the standard red, white, yellow. So as you can see, we're just going to turn these all back on. And I have another channel selector. There's the Dreamcast. It's going to ask about date and time, which I could have swore I already fixed that. I could have swore I put a new battery in there, a rechargeable socketed battery. That's again another one of those projects I need to get back to, I guess. So this is a long throw projector. I have a short throw projector, but it's being used somewhere else. A short throw projector would be sweet because I can put it like right here, and then you can walk around down here and not get in the way. So yeah, here's this is just a cheap 8-port channel or input selector, and I've got all of these consoles hooked up. So come over here, and like, you know, the very first one is an NES. If we hit the input number 1, there's our NES. Yeah, I've got a 150-1 cartridge in the NES. That's pretty awesome. I think I only paid like $30 for it 3 or 4 years ago. It's got a bunch of great games on it too. Oh, what'd I do? Bump the stupid thing. You know how Nintendo is. I guess I don't need to show you a game. And then here's Super Nintendo, be number 2. Sega Genesis is number 3. Yeah, that's a manual switch. There's nothing very fancy about it. It's just mechanical in nature. There's no, it's not active. It doesn't require power cables. And so there's the Sega Genesis. Here's the original PlayStation. Here's the N64 with an EverDrive 64. Here's the GameCube, and that GameCube has a Game Boy player disc in it. And not only does it have that, but I've got a Game Boy Advance flash cart in it. So it's booting up Game Boy stuff. It's kind of cool. It's been so long I don't remember how it works, to be honest with you. But there's probably every Game Boy Advance game ever released is probably on that. Here's the PS2. Code Shark. I don't remember what I was doing. I think I was trying to hack a game save for Gran Turismo. One of the races are very difficult, and I can't get through it. It's somewhere like, I don't remember where the race takes place. Grand Canyon, dirt track, and the game cheats. The AI will bump you off the road, if I remember right. It's been a while, but I'll get back to it at some point. And then, of course, we already saw the Dreamcast. So, anyways, I guess in a nutshell, that is my current gaming system down here, and I'm digging it. The KVM switch does have a remote, and I stopped by a store to get some things, including a battery for it, and I looked right at the battery, but it was locked up, and I forgot to ask for it when I went to ring up. So anyways, yeah, this would be the remote. I couldn't tell you what all the KVM switch does. It's got Ethernet, an Ethernet port on the front for some reason. I'm guessing there's some management. It came with some software. You don't really know what all it can do. You know, it might be a little ironic that I work in IT, but I don't really know what you would do with a managed switch. Perhaps periodically scan the channels automatically. I don't know. I'm not sure what software would do for you in that regard, but I'm sure they've come up with some cool things people can do with it. This suits my needs perfectly. And again, it's marketed for PCs, but it works great for gaming systems. You know, especially since gaming systems have had HDMI in them for a while. So, I guess we're at about 32 minutes. I could probably end on that note. I guess the only thing I didn't really talk about is I do have some of these accessories for some of these systems out here. I do plan on utilizing, like the PS4 VR. You'll notice the PS4 is way over there. I could switch it with the PS3, and it'd be a little bit closer to the table, and I might do that. But this camera needs to be relatively center to the room and the screen, and that cable just isn't long enough. So I ordered that cable tonight. That cable, I was glad to pay $40. I seen a lot of people were charging $70, $80, $90 for that cable. I'm like, no way. I don't know why that cable is so expensive, but $40 didn't seem so bad after seeing it everywhere else for so much more. I guess that's it. You know, I mean, I've got this Wii sensor bar sitting right there temporarily, ready to go. I'm not really sure why I even have it. I don't play the Wii, but I try to have all the consoles. I like the Wii, kind of. You know, I thought the Wiimote was kind of fun, but at the same time, I didn't like that you were tethered to it. And maybe there was other options. It seems like they might have had a Pro controller that was more typical of what the other consoles were like. I don't know. I never looked into it. My Wii is modified, and it's got a ton of games. You know, I do have a ton of games on disc, for the record. You know, my N64 collection, PS4, PS3, PS2, Genesis. Got all kinds of games. You know, that goes all the way down the shelf. I've got all kinds of games over here. I was an idiot, and I used to throw cases away and just keep the games. So there's a lot of... I still can't believe, like, probably back in 2009 or so, I took all my Sega Dreamcast games and threw them in these cases, and then threw the cases in the trash. I can't believe. It was a terrible, terrible mistake. I don't know what I was thinking. I think I was just short on space and needed to get rid of something. I wouldn't do that now. I keep everything, even if it's stuff that I don't think I'm going to like now, because maybe eventually I'll like it in the future. So, anyways, I guess that's all I got. So, I just thought that I might share out there with the YouTube world what I've done. There might be similar systems, but I've seen all the YouTube channels that I watch where they show how their AV system is hooked up. Their HDMI stuff is daisy-chained, and sometimes even their composite stuff is daisy-chained. And I wanted to spend a little more money and get it done right. I wanted to be able to tell people, this is how you use the system in like 2 sentences, and walk away and know that they know how to do it. So, again, if you just want to walk over here and you want to play this system, you'll look at its number, and then it'll correspond with the number up here. I don't have the numbers here yet. I'm just going to put labels on here. I've got my label maker down here, but I haven't gotten around to creating the label yet. Yeah, so here's the... I'm going to switch to the Wii U. There you go. Wii U has been selected, and so on and so forth. Try to keep this down and keep it as simple as possible while having everything hooked up at the same time. That was the goal. Maybe sometime I'll do something cool with this setup, because it is so versatile. I don't know. I just don't know. You know, and I've got other systems too that I've had for years that I've not bothered to bring home from work. We had customers bringing in old electronics to drop off to have us recycle, and there was perfectly good Atari 2600s, perfectly good ColecoVisions and Intellivisions, and some other oddball systems that were before my time. So, anyways, again, that's all I got. I'm going to get off of here before this thing, before my phone camera thing here catches on fire.